Rome, Imperial Spain, the British Empire, three of the most powerful civilizations that ever existed, separated by centuries, different languages, different weapons, different worlds, and all three died in the exact same way. Not by invasion, not by a single lost battle, not by some enemy at the gates. They were each destroyed by the same 4 steps, taken in the same order, a sequence so consistent that once you see it, you can watch it happening in real time. Each of them believed they were the exception, that their empire was different, that the rules that ended everyone else somehow didn't apply to them. And every single one of them was wrong. There are 4 stages. Every dying empire moves through all 4, always in the same sequence. And here's the part that should unsettle you. By the time an empire reaches stage 3, the collapse is already unstoppable. The people living through it just can't see it yet. Because from the inside, the beginning of the end doesn't look like decline, it looks like strength. So let's walk through the 4 stages, and then decide for yourself where certain powers stand today. Stage 1 always looks like success. That's exactly what makes it invisible. Every empire begins by expanding. It wins wars, takes territory, builds trade routes. Power grows, wealth flows in, and the empire keeps reaching further. More colonies, more garrisons, more commitments on more borders. Rome stretched from Britain to the Middle East. Spain built an empire so vast the sun never set on it. Then Britain built one even larger, holding territory on every inhabited continent on Earth. But here is the trap hidden inside the triumph. Every new territory is not just a prize, it's a cost. Every colony needs defending. Every border needs an army. Every conquest becomes a permanent bill that never stops arriving. Commitments made at the peak of power don't disappear when the power fades. They stay. The empire has now built a machine so large that simply keeping it running consumes almost everything it produces. At the height, no one questions this. Why would they? The empire has never been bigger. It's winning. But the seeds of stage 2 have already been planted, because now the empire needs more money than it can possibly raise honestly. And what a government does next, when it needs money it doesn't have, is where empires begin to die. Stage 2 is where the strength quietly turns to rot, and it always starts with the same impossible choice. The empire needs vastly more money to pay its soldiers, fund its wars, and keep its people content. But there are only 2 honest ways to get it: raise taxes or cut spending. Both are political suicide. Raise taxes and the people revolt. Cut the armies or the benefits and you look weak. So every empire reaches for a third option, the one that feels painless. They quietly ruin their own money. Rome did it with its silver coin, the denarius. Once nearly pure silver, emperors shaved the silver content down, again and again, mixing in cheaper metal while insisting the coin was still worth the same. They were manufacturing money out of nothing. Spain did the opposite and got the same result. It flooded itself with so much silver from the New World that the silver itself lost its value. Britain, centuries later, would break the link between its currency and gold entirely. Different methods, identical logic, print, clip, dilute, or unpeg, create the appearance of wealth without creating anything real. For a while, it works. The bills get paid, the armies march, the empire looks as mighty as ever. But you cannot fool an economy forever, and when the truth arrives, it doesn't knock, it floods in all at once. And here is the part almost everyone gets wrong about how empires fall. The collapse doesn't begin when things start getting worse. It begins at the peak, when everything looks its absolute best. Think about that. The moment an empire is most powerful, most admired, most confident, that is the exact moment it has taken on the most commitments it can't afford, and started debasing the money to pay for them. The height and the beginning of the fall are the same moment. They just wear different faces. So when people look for the start of a collapse, they look in the wrong place. They search the ruins for the disaster. But the fatal decision was made years earlier, in the throne room, at the celebration, when everyone was toasting how invincible they were. Stage 3 is the point of no return, and it turns on a single, invisible thing: trust. Because money is not metal or paper. Money is trust made physical. A shared belief that a coin or a note stands for something real. And that belief is fragile. In stage 3, people start to notice. Soldiers realize their pay buys less than it used to. Merchants quietly refuse the debased coins or demand twice as many. Prices begin to climb, then to soar. In late Rome, something that once cost a single coin could eventually cost 50. Now the empire is trapped in a spiral of its own making. The more the money is distrusted, the less it's worth. The less it's worth, the more the empire prints to keep up, which makes it worth even less, faster and faster. And when the people stop trusting the money, they soon stop trusting everything else. The leaders, the institutions, the promises. The empire responds not with real reform, but with edicts, price controls, and blame. It hunts for scapegoats instead of solutions. The state loses the faith of its own people long before it ever loses to an outside enemy. And once that faith is gone, no army on earth can command it back. Which leads, every time, to the same final stage. Stage 4 is the collapse itself. And by now, it's almost an afterthought. The real death happened earlier. This is just the body finally falling. For Rome, when the money died, so did the ability to pay the armies, defend the borders, and hold the empire together. The invasions everyone blames for the fall, they succeeded because Rome had already hollowed itself out from within. The barbarians didn't topple a healthy empire. They pushed over one that was already dead standing up. Spain, drowning in debased silver and unpayable debt, defaulted again and again until its golden age simply faded. Britain, after leading the world for 2 centuries, watched its empire dissolve within a single generation as its financial dominance slipped away. Rome, Spain, Britain, 3 empires from the opening of this video. The same 4 stages: overextension, debasement, loss of confidence, collapse. Every time. In the same order. No exceptions. So why does this keep happening? Why can't the most powerful, best-advised civilizations on Earth see the pattern and simply stop? Because the pattern doesn't predict a disaster. It predicts a series of choices. And at every stage, the short-term choice is the easy one. Debase the coin instead of raising taxes. Print the money instead of cutting the army. Pass the edict instead of fixing the problem. Every empire had leaders who could see exactly what was happening. Almost none had the will to choose the hard road, while the easy one still worked. There is one counterexample. Britain, unlike Rome or Spain, didn't fully collapse. It declined slowly, painfully, over a century, but it survived, and it's a functional, prosperous nation today. The difference wasn't luck. It was institutions strong enough to eventually choose reform over denial. The pattern can be broken. It's just almost never broken in time. Because the cruelest truth about the 4 stages is this: every empire that fell was certain it was the exception. The belief that you're different isn't what saves you from the pattern. It's the first symptom that you're already in it. Now hold that pattern in your mind and look at the great powers of today. The overextension, the endless printing of money, the prices that never stop climbing, the trust that seems to erode a little more each year. Which stage do you think we're in? The beginning, the middle, or the end? I'll let you decide that for yourself. But if you want to see what the final stage actually looks like up close, what happens the moment a currency's trust runs out completely, there's one country that lived it in fast forward, where prices didn't creep up over centuries, but doubled every single day. That story is next.